Let's talk about Richard Arnold's leaked video. The story goes like this. A group of about 20 Manchester United fans were planning on having an anti-Glazer protest at Richard Arnold's home. Now, what did Richard Arnold do? Well, he actually didn't run away. He didn't call the cops. He actually drove his car to a nearby pub where those protesters were hanging out before setting off to his home. He bought them all a drink. He sat with them at their table and he had a chat over a pint. It doesn't get more honest, more transparent, or more wholesome than this. And my respect for the Manchester United CEO has just gone through the roof. And that's what I'm going to be focused on this video. But I just want to open a quick bracket here. And I just want to say the following, that as much as I appreciate the opportunity that such leaks have opened up for Manchester United fans, i.e. the opportunity to get up close and personal with the CEO of the club, understand how he thinks, understand his insights on what could be done to improve the situation at the club. I also feel that this kind of leaks could actually undermine the club's transfer business, because I can imagine people at Barcelona looking at this, because he's talking a lot about money not being an issue and how much money is available for transfers, and then just increasing the price for Frankie de Jong, which could make it much more difficult for John Murtho. So please just remember, trust is mutual. If the CEO of the club trusts you enough to come and meet you and have a beer with you and have a talk with you, and if you agreed that there was going to be no leaks, no videos, then the least you could do is to hold your part of the deal. Just reward that trust by keeping your word. And that's just what I think about it. But anyway, this is not a rant about that. We are going to actually talk about some of the things that have emerged from that leaked video that definitely make me even more, I couldn't believe it, but even more optimistic and even happier to be a Manchester United fan. So let's explore. In the video, Richard Arnold said the following: "What? You want me to complete the transfers? Does that ring any bells?" Yes, yes, it definitely does. An Ed Woodward shaped bell. And I highly appreciate the fact that he said that, because it's extremely telling. What it shows is that he himself thinks that it's ridiculous. The idea that a CEO would make football decisions, would take football decisions in a football club is extremely ridiculous. What a CEO does is you find experts and you delegate those tasks to them. Football decisions should be made by football experts. And also it shows that he doesn't want to do it the way Ed Woodward did it, but it also shows that that's what Ed Woodward was doing for a fact. That means that for the last 9 years, our recruitment was shambles because of Ed Woodward's interference in the transfer business. I'm sure that David Moyes, Jose Mourinho, Louis van Gaal, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer were asking for different players than the ones that we got. And that was because of Ed Woodward. But Richard Arnold is not planning on doing it the same way. He has different ideas. To him, Richard Arnold, the CEO of the club, is the money guy, the general overall manager of the club. But football matters. That's the responsibility of Director of Football John Murtho and football manager Erik ten Hag. And that's amazing, because for the past 4 or 5 years, every Manchester United fans, me included, have been clamoring for a separation of powers at Old Trafford. That means if Ed Woodward is good commercially, then take care of that. Take care of sponsorship deals with noodle companies. We don't care about that. What we care about is football. And please bring in people who can make the right decisions when it comes to football. Now, of course, what you're going to say is that, well, maybe John Murtho is not the right guy. But I don't think that that's fair. I don't think that that's fair, because we have to give the people at the club, Richard Arnold, Erik ten Hag, John Murtho, the time to show what they can and what they can't do. I reserve judgment until the end of the second season. And so, but this already is highly promising to hear that from the CEO of the club, that he does not interfere with transfers. He has no intention of doing that. And that's all John Murtho and Erik ten Hag's responsibility. That is extremely positive news. And also, I'm going to say this, for people like Erik ten Hag, he's very smart. He knows exactly what he wants. This is exactly the kind of environment where he thrives. That means just give me the responsibility, empower me to make decisions, empower me to change things my way, and I'm not going to disappoint you. I get the credit if I succeed. I take the responsibility if I fail. And so in this spirit, I think that Manchester United can definitely be successful. If we keep going like this consistently for the next 3 or 4 years, there is no reason that in the 4th or 5th year, we are not going to be title challengers in England and in Europe. It's highly possible. So please, let's just back Richard Arnold with this, and let's support John Murthaugh and Eric Ten Hag and just see what they come up with this summer and also over the next 2 seasons. All right, next is the Glazers. So Richard Arnold described the Glazers as being hard rock hard. Listen, I'm a Megadeth and Metallica fan. Hard rock hard is well damn hard, all right? And so what he's saying is that it's not that they don't care about the club, but they're not frightened of people. They're not moving anywhere. And he gave the example of their hostile leverage takeover back in 2005, where people were protesting that, and yet it still went through. And so what he's saying is that as fans, we are of course entitled to express our frustrations and our anger. However, he's warning us not to go overboard. Why? Because some of the ambitions that he has, but that also as fans we have. For example, building a brand new stadium or building a 250 million pound state-of-the-art cutting-edge training facility cannot be built by Manchester United with the revenue that we currently generate. No football club in the world can. Only clubs that are state-owned, like Paris Saint-Germain and Manchester City, could afford such an outlay on hard assets like that. Which means that Manchester United will ultimately need investors, sponsors or banks to come into the table and talk about how they can cooperate with us in order to make those ambitions come to life. But those stakeholders, they are not going to want to invest or be associated with Manchester United if the fan base is toxic, if the atmosphere around the club is toxic, and if people are sabotaging one another. So what he's saying is that we have to be cautious about that. And it's all about what is the fastest pathway to success. Is it by undermining the Glazers and trying our best through protests and through sabotage to try to get them out of the club? Or can we all just be positive and all pull in the same direction, and then eventually success is gonna follow? Please let me remind you, and this by no means am I supporting the Glazers or defending them here, but just let me remind you that since they took over in 2005, we still won 5 Premier League titles and been in 3 Champions League finals. I'm not saying that this is because of the Glazers, that is this due to them, but what I'm saying is that the Glazers owning the club and success on the pitch can actually coexist, that they can both happen at the same time. But what we need right now at Manchester United is for us to believe. Chelsea, which were valued at around £2 billion, they got sold for more than double that, even though the government was literally forcing Roman Abramovich's hand to sell the club. Can you imagine? That means the owner is forced to sell, and yet he's selling it for twice its value. Can you imagine how much it would take to buy Manchester United out of the Glazers' hands? Astronomical amounts of money, probably reaching $10 billion. Yeah, where is that money gonna come from? And so to just try to get the Glazers out of Manchester United, that is unrealistic. But to actually see some hope in what is happening behind the scenes currently this year at Manchester United and try to pull in that direction and be as positive as we can, that can actually be a smarter way of supporting the club and of ensuring that we get long-lasting success. Then, of course, last but not least, when you watch that video, empathy and warmth shines through Richard Arnold, and the way he communicates is top class, in my opinion. For example, when he talked about how clubs who don't allocate 3,000 seats for the away Manchester United fans, and how the club reciprocates back in those away fans, and how lively they are, and how his own children go to watch away games. He has this knack of having other people relate to him. He's very relatable, very warm. He has a charm in that he brings people into the conversation. He doesn't talk to people, but rather he involves people in what he's saying. But also the way he talked about Sancho and Rashford. He mentioned the fact that they are just kids, that they are dealing with the torrid time that they had at the Euros with England. I mean, when you think about it, when you take a step back and you think about it, someone like Sancho, who's 22, I mean, when you are 22, you can't even deal with a breakup. You know, your girlfriend sends you a text telling you that she broke up with you, and you break down, right? How can you expect a 22-year-old to deal with the torrid time and the abuse that they face online, etc.? Well, sometimes that affects people. And so what Richard Arnold is saying is that he doesn't consider players as assets and numbers, but rather as people. And so he is a man that is full of warmth and empathy. He understands people. He talks to people. He's very relatable, very simple, very easy going. You contrast this with Ed Woodward, for example, who was cold. For example, according to Rio Ferdinand himself, he was told that his contract was not going to be extended at Manchester United. During the last game of the season in the dressing room, Ed Woodward literally told him, "Oh, by the way, Rio, we are not keeping you here." Rio Ferdinand, legend of the game. A legend of the game. You should have told him at the beginning of the season, not at the end of the season. And so this just shows a difference, a huge difference between Ed Woodward and Richard Arnold, a huge approach to how to be a CEO of a football club. And so with Richard Arnold, all I feel and all I see is positive vibes. And as the leader of the organization, if you can get that positivity trickling down through the departments, all the way from the very top to us, the supporters, because we are the base of that Manchester United pyramid. And so if we are positive and we pull in the right direction, and now that we have a CEO who is also positive, very rational, he seems to have the right ideas, the right solutions to the problems that we are facing. First of all, he recognizes the problems, unlike Ed Woodward. Then I think that this is an exciting time for Manchester United. I truly believe that we are in the right hands. I might be proven wrong if the people who are put in those positions, like Eric Ten Hag or John Murtho or Richard Arnold himself, end up flopping and not being good enough or being out of depth in their jobs, but I would still give them the benefit of the doubt. And overall, I just think that the right ideas are expressed currently by the Richard Arnold administration, and that deserves my respect and my faith. Cheers.